at beavercountyradio.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running.
Rush Hour is just getting started on Beaver County Radio. It's time for Driving in the Fast Lane with Frank Sparks. It's the show that talks about what's happening in the news, locally, regionally, and nationally. There will be guests, and Noah Haswell will have the news of the top and bottom of each hour. You're in the Fast Lane. And now, here is the host of the show, Frank Sparks.
And good morning on this rainy Wednesday morning. We're going to have a lot of fun today. And we're going to talk a couple different things. Start out this morning, we're going to have a brand new show that's debuting this morning during Driving in the Fast Lane. And each and every month, retired Detective Andy Gall from the Beaver County Crime Stoppers is going to join me. And we're going to go through different cold and old cases of Beaver County and possibly the surrounding area. So we're going to have that each and every month for you. This is a special edition this month, and then we're going, to the second week or the third Wednesday of the month?
We're going to, what is this one? This is we're going to the second Wednesday.
Second Wednesday, okay. Yeah, today is the first Wednesday of the month, yeah, so, okay. And then each and every month from there on, we'll have a different case we'll be highlighting. Andy will bring in guests along with us, and we'll talk about those different cases. This month, we are going to be highlighting the case of the embalmed head that was found in 2014 in Economy Borough. And then at 11 o'clock, we're going to have Stephanie Alfonso from Dr. Montini's offices in. And the other day, I had to get my teeth cleaned, and she held me down and threatened me and put these sharp instruments in my mouth and told me if I didn't have her on the air that she was going to hurt me. So she'll be in 11 and talk dental hygiene. I'm looking forward to it. So it's always a fun conversation with Stephanie. I guarantee you'll enjoy it. You might not enjoy talking about teeth, but you'll enjoy it for sure. But with that being said, let's say good morning to Andy Gall. And he also brought in tow with him the Economy. Are you the current police chief still in Economy as well?
Yes.
Okay, Mike O'Brien. And then also Kristen Doerschner, who a lot of people know from her days. She's a Penn State Beaver now, and you worked for the Times for quite some time as well, correct?
Correct. Good morning.
Good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
All right, so we're going to start out. This embalmed head was found in December of 2014. So, Andy, why don't you get us started and tell us about the specifics of this case, how this head was found, who found it, and some of the mystery behind it.
Well, I'm going to pass a lot of this right off to Mike, but the idea is I was lucky enough. I was working at the DA's office at the time. Mike and I usually worked on any major case in Economy together, so we knew each other a long time. So when I got a phone call from him that afternoon that they found a head off the side of the road, some people, if I got that call from them, I'd just roll my eyes and hang up.
Okay.
But in Mike's case, he's pretty legit. So I was headed out there with Tony Beaver, the DA at the time. So let Mike take it from the beginning because he was eating lunch.
What was your thought, Mike, when the phone call come in that there was a human head found on the side of the road?
Well, there was actually a process. So,
Okay. Do you want to pull that mic as close to you as you can?
So we had gotten a phone call from the 911 center
Okay.
saying that a kid had found a head in the woods, and the officer who responded kind of thought it may have been a prank. So he went out, called back in, said, "Hey, I need somebody else to come out here," and one of the supervisors working that day went out, and then the next thing you know, they were calling me. So when that happened, I thought something's not right. The entire time I was driving there, I probably had hundreds of thoughts going through my mind, like, what is this? Is this a prank? Is it a mask? Is it real? Mm-hmm. So when I got there and they showed me where it was, we walked down to the woods, and we did indeed have a real human head. So honestly, I didn't know what to think at that point. I really didn't. I didn't know if, we were dealing with some kind of, person that's cutting up bodies and tossing them in the woods, or how this got here. And so I called Andy, and I said, "Hey, you're not going to believe this, but we're standing here in the woods with a head." So he came out, And the coroner came out, and we're standing there looking at it, and she looks and says, I think this thing was embalmed. And of course, now we're all sort of just holding this head in our hands, thinking, where do we go with this next? So after we did a little bit of time there, we ended up taking it up to the morgue, and the pathologist was doing his autopsy with it, and that's when we found out that it was in fact embalmed. There were some embalming measures that's taken place that are apparent. He lifted the eyelids, and we had found eye caps there, and then right after doing that, he removed the eye caps, and we found these 2 red rubber balls inside the eye sockets. So that was kind of the start of it all.
Okay. So take me through the process of investigating what all happened. I mean, where all you went. It was a female head, correct?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was a Friday. I think that, Monday, we wanted to do our due diligence as far as, let's make sure this is human. Let's make sure it's real. So we ended up taking it to Mercyhurst University, to an anthropologist, Dr. Dennis Dirkmatt, and he confirmed that it was in fact a female human head that that it had been embalmed. So that was our first stop. From there on, we had quite a few things happening at the same time.
Well, we legitimately were doing the old boots on the ground criminal investigation. We're knocking on the doors of everybody on Mason Road to see if anybody has any idea why. We are doing a thorough interview with the young man who found the head on the side of the road. Did a little background check on him because he's the guy that found it. Just what's basic police work. And that weekend we had a search of the property that the head was found on because my own opinion was that there was a possibility that we were going to find the rest of the body parts spread out along there. And I still say, luckily, there was no other body parts found there. We were out there with cadaver dogs, and so the basic police work, even when we left with the head, he left his sergeant there. They were doing, and the lieutenant, because they were doing the basic crime scene, even though there wasn't much to do. They took soil samples and leaf samples and everything like that. So, and while we were still at the, and you have to realize this is December 12th.
Yeah.
And so we're coming up on the Christmas season, and my initial opinion was we were going to find somebody broke into a grave, somebody dug somebody up, somebody broke into a mausoleum. I had a case like that at one time, and because people thought that there was money in there and that people were buried with all their jewelry, and they got a $10 gold ring. That's how much because we caught that guy.
Right.
But anyway, so I thought that, and we had all the police departments going to their cemeteries looking for this, someplace that was disturbed. We also, while we were there, that's when the conversation came up of we need to put this out so that people know what was going on. And I'll take it back to you, Mike, because what was your response?
Yeah, well, my response was we don't want to get this out yet. I realized that we got to put some information out there. People were seeing us out there and everything, but we didn't want to cause an alarm either at the same time, and we didn't really know what we had happening yet. So that's when Kristen became involved, and she put a piece in for us, and she's been, I guess, part of this case since then. For some reason, this case sort of attracts people when they get involved in it, and they stick with it, So she was able to get some information out for us, and then we had planned a press conference. I think it was like 2 weeks later we ended up doing to get the information that we wanted to put out to the public to let them know that there wasn't anything dangerous going on at the time, and it was kind of a rare thing.
Tell us about how you felt about that phone call.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah. So, and as they mentioned, it was Christmas season. It was a Friday afternoon, actually, and I was driving down 4th Street in Beaver with a trunk full of food on my way to our newsroom Christmas party. I was working for the Beaver County Times then. Cops and Courts was my beat, so this was my thing. So I'm driving down 4th Street on the way to my editor's house for our Christmas party when my phone rings and it's Andy. And as was the case then and still is, if Andy calls, I answer. So I answered, hey, Andy, what's up? And he said, well, so we found a head. Can you meet us at the morgue? And I have to say, it was memorable. So I went running to my boss's house, just ran in with trays of food, said, put these in the oven on warm. I need a notebook and a pen. I got to get to the morgue now because they found a head. And so that's kind of what happened. I met them at the morgue, and they let me know what was going on and that they wanted to put out some preliminary information. And I've been invested in this case ever since.
So how old was this lady? Around?
Well, we're guessing somewhere between 60 and 80 years old. And that's just by, the look. And the anthropologist also sort of confirmed that age range. So that's kind of where we were sticking with. And in the beginning, we didn't actually put that out because we didn't want to limit ourselves to, somebody looking at saying, this person, I think it may be, is only 50. They're saying she's 60, so I'm not going to, bring it up. So we kind of kept that, back with a broader age range so that we can get as many leads as we possibly could. So, but that's what we had estimated.
So how did this young boy come across the head to begin with?
So there was a half day of school that day, and he was at an age where he was getting interested in hunting, and he would walk through those woods. And he had gotten off the bus, walked home, and he was walking back up through the woods to go to a taxidermist, as a matter of fact, at the top of the hill. So he came across it, he saw it, and he explained to us that he thought it was like a gut pile from a dead deer. So he went over to look at it, and that's when he discovered that it was an actual human head. So he called 911, reported it, and stuck around while we got over there. He has always been cooperative with us, trying to help us, and he's got some concerns of his own, like where did this come from? So yeah.
Well, it's never been able to identify it all these years, and why is that not that like DNA or anything like that not available?
Yeah, so we've actually tried DNA 6 different times, and right now the 6th attempt they're still working at that now. What we were told initially was that the embalming fluid deteriorates the DNA, so that they're not able to get the markers or whatever it is that they need to extract to be able to make that identification. So, and of course, that was done within the first 6 months, our first attempt. And we actually had 2 attempts by one company. And my thought always was, once we got that first report back that it wasn't, that it deteriorated and this and that, was that, over time, technology is going to advance. Science is always, working. So hopefully something develops. And over the last 12 years, I guess it's been the last 12 years, we've had it in. This is the 6th place now. Nobody has been able to get anything yet. So right now, the company that's working with it, they're trying some new methods. They're doing some research. They're trying to develop some other ways, and they're bringing up a couple other ideas too that we're looking into. So, unfortunately, that's the only way we have to identify it. Well, not necessarily, but scientifically at least. The other thing we've tried to do is we put this drawing out that's on the internet. The clay models, they're out there as well. And we've gotten probably 200 leads off of those pictures that we've investigated. So she does have all of her teeth. So we do have a medical or a dental record of that we can compare. But we have run into, situations where people those records aren't available anymore. They've been destroyed or they can't be found. So we've had to resort to some other methods to try to, in this case, eliminate them from that process. So,
Kristen, you being a news reporter, I know you did your own investigation on that as well. So where did you go to looking into it as you started looking into this once they told you about it?
So one of the first things that I did was start to research heads that had been found. And I remember saying to my colleagues, if anyone looks at my search history, please know this is why I'm doing this, right? Because this is a super creepy thing. Right. And there are actually more heads out there than you would like to believe. But none of them quite like this.
Because they're not embalmed.
They're not, none of them. I didn't find a single one, at least in any of my research, about a head that had been embalmed. And most of the heads out there that had been found were clearly cases of foul play or horrific accidents. So it was just, a super big mystery, and still is, obviously. Researching heads was my start.
Kristen was great with us because she did some special things for the Times. We had a Times video made to keep it out there for people to talk about, just in case somebody missed it the first time around. And so she became part of the team real early because this was a stranger case than normal.
They didn't tell me everything, though.
well,
I like the way she said that.
And I want to add to her research, one of the things that we found out within that first week or so, and I think everybody's heard the term VICAP from watching television shows. We put this case into VICAP. One of the things that I found was, she's right, there's a ton of cases where there's just a head been found, but to our knowledge, in fact, it's our understanding that nobody has ever recovered an embalmed head. So, when I researched VICAP myself, there were a lot of heads found, but not one that's ever been embalmed.
Any thoughts of where it came from?
Well, when this investigation started, when this whole thing started up, I said to Andy, I said, listen, I'm not going to dismiss anything, right? Okay. I was open to just about any suggestion, any theory, because I don't think you can be, right? And one of the things that I found out within the first 2 or 3 weeks that really shocked me is the black market body trade. And when it first came out, I was thinking, no, there's just no way. This is impossible. And we actually got involved with another reporter that was doing a piece just on that. So we've learned quite a bit about it. And actually, we're looking into 2 other cases on the eastern side of the state right now that are involving body parts and the black market body trade. So that's one of our roads we've gone down. Okay. But over the last 12 years, we have gone down so many different avenues.
Is there a market for body parts?
Well, believe it or not, there is.
Oh, stop.
Luckily, no one in this room is interested in these body parts except for because of the work he does. But,
yeah.
And the best part is there's a legitimate one and an illegitimate one. So, you can buy body parts legitimately and legally.
You can buy body parts which my daughter's father-in-law is a retired dentist from Cleveland, and he told me the first tooth he ever drilled and filled or worked on was in a cadaver head. And so that makes sense.
Yeah, I can see that.
And my daughter's a physician's assistant, and in their anatomy class, she had a cadaver in basically a bed that they would do surgery on and remove certain body parts and things. So I heard about that. Well, then we find the guy from Reuters news service who these things are being sold legitimately in those ways, but these are also being sold to people who want them to decorate their house. And when you, and we're not breaking any news here.
Yeah, that's
the
pretty
fact that
creepy.
We've been following this stuff. There's a guy who was just tattooed from head to toe. He's in the middle part of the state, and he was selling body parts. A guy who worked for Harvard University was selling body parts on the black market. Both of them have been arrested. And then we find out about a guy down in the
Outside of Philadelphia there.
Okay.
yeah, and go ahead, tell
That's
me about
that John Durlack case that happened back in January.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've been in contact with them as well. And we're kind of looking at some similarities there, or the possibility that, maybe this was something that came from one of those type of enterprises, so to speak.
All right, we're going to take a short break for news, and when we come back, if you do have any questions that you want to ask them, you're welcome to. Phone number is 724-774-1888 or 843-1888, and we'll have more on this discussion right after this.
It's hard to even put a title on what Tom Young at First Consultants in Beaver does. Calling him a financial planner or an insurance salesman or even a life coach still doesn't accurately describe the experience. That's because he brings dreams back to life or puts life back into retirement.
My job is to create in you the vision of the you that I think you can be, the place that I think you can get to. And you know what? I get frustrated because I see more greatness in people than they see in themselves. I see greater financial futures than they see in themselves. Most people don't believe they can get there.
Find out more by visiting firstconsultantsinc.com or engage in Tom Young's live simulcast presentation on the third Tuesday of each month beginning at 9:10 a.m. on Beaver County Radio and Facebook Live. All advisory services are offered through PL Wealth LLC. PL Wealth is a federally registered investment advisor. PL Wealth is in no way affiliated with First Consultants Inc., nor is First Consultants Inc. a registered investment advisor.
Tune in for Spotlight on Seniors every Sunday at 11 a.m. Host Valerie McKelvey will highlight what's important to the seniors of Beaver County. Spotlight on Seniors is brought to you by the Beaver County Office on Aging and BeaverCountyRadio.com.
Are you frustrated by high copays for your generic drugs? Stop overpaying and start saving. Discover Forward RX, your local cost-plus pharmacy in New Brighton. At Forward RX, we believe in transparency and affordability. No insurance middlemen, no inflated prices, just the true cost of your medication plus a simple fixed markup. Join the Forward RX family today and experience the difference. Check out our medication prices online at fwdrx.com or give us a call for a price quote. Forward RX. Come for the savings and stay for the service.
Now here is a phrase you usually don't hear from somebody who is trying to earn your business. Just leave. Hi, this is Kalen from Freedom United Federal Credit Union. It's true. Freedom United does want you to leave. And do it now. Leave on vacation, or in your next vehicle, that is. Hey, maybe even do both. Get a new car and then drive it on vacation. We will provide the cash to do both. Fill up your tank, fill up your wallet, and then hit the road. It's time to enjoy a little freedom in your future. Keep in mind, we do like seeing you in our lobbies in Rochester, Settle Township, and in Harmony. So when we tell you to just leave, it's not about you. It's about your next purchase, a vacation, a car, or both. Stop in and apply today so you can just leave tomorrow. Loans are based on credit approval. Once again, this is Kalen from Freedom United Federal Credit Union, member NCUA, equal housing lender.
Beaver County Radio's news source. 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and BeaverCountyRadio.com. Here's Noah Haswell.
Good morning. On this Wednesday, May 6th of 2026, we will have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after we take this look at news. The Rochester Police Department is advising parents that Jefferson Street has become a primary detour route due to the closure of Adams Street. Police said traffic has increased significantly in the area, along with the rise in violations, and officers are increasing patrols. Officials are urging parents to keep children from playing near or in the roadway and to avoid riding bikes, scooters, or skateboards on Jefferson Street. Parents are also encouraged to monitor their children's activities and reinforce safe behavior around roadways. Dr. George Zambelli said on Beaver County Radio's Driving in the Fast Lane with Frank Sparks on Tuesday that he is taking steps to improve patient access to his office in Rochester amid the closure of Adams Street.
About 5 years ago, I purchased the property next door. I didn't know what I might use it for. And then all of a sudden, around Easter, we were notified that they were closing Adams Street, and it's been very difficult for our patients to get to the parking lot. And actually, within another week, there'll be no way they'll be able to get to the parking lot. So I met with some people in the borough. I met with Matt Cook, the demolition expert, and we decided let's demo the house and put in an egress and ingress so that patients can get to the parking lot from the alleyway.
Okay. Now where's that alleyway located at?
Right behind my office, between Ohio Street and New York Avenue. At this point, they can park on Ohio Street, Jefferson, New York Avenue, and unfortunately have to walk to the office.
The second annual Beaver County Heathen Festival will be held May 15th through the 17th at the fairgrounds off Route 168 in Greene Township. Organizers said the festival highlights Viking culture and Norse mythology, similar in format to a Renaissance fair. This year's event will include activities like axe throwing and archery. Festival hours are 2 to 9 p.m. May 15th, noon to 10 p.m. May 16th, and 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. May 17th. Tickets are $20 for adults, $15 for seniors, and $7 for teens, with children 10 and under admitted free. Tickets are available online at eventbrite.com and at the gate. More information about the event can be found on our website at beavercountyradio.com. PennDOT District 11 announced that slide remediation work on 8th Street, Route 4008 in Patterson Township will begin Wednesday, May 6th, weather permitting. Work will take place weekdays from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. between Route 51 and Darlington Road through late May. Single-lane alternating traffic will be maintained using flaggers. Crews from A. Liberoni Incorporated will perform slide repairs, shoulder improvements, and roadway reconstruction. Breeze Airways is adding 3 new nonstop routes from Pittsburgh International Airport. The airline will offer service to Vero Beach, Punta Cana, and Cancun. Flights will operate 3 times a week, Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays on a seasonal basis. Service to Vero Beach is scheduled to begin October 1st, while the international routes to Punta Cana and Cancun are set to launch January 7th. And the Quaker Valley High School track and field boys team won its 3rd consecutive title at the Whippeal Class 2A Championships in McMurray on Tuesday. Quaker Valley defeated Riverview 116-34, North Catholic 112-42, and Greensburg Central Catholic 98-52 to secure the championship. The Quaker Valley girls team, however, saw its 4-year run as Whippeal champion come to an end. Trailing 73-72 entering the 4x400 relay, the final event, North Catholic won the race to clinch a 77-72 victory over Quaker Valley.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
Today, there's a chance of showers through mid-morning, but otherwise it'll be partly sunny with highs of 58 and overnight lows dropping to 42. And tomorrow, we can expect to see lots of sunshine with highs in the upper 50s and lows around 40. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
That's a look at the news for now. I'm Noah Haswell on 99.3 FM, AM 1230 WBVP, 95.7 FM, and 1460 AM WMBA. Also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
Hot coffee in the morning and Frank Sparks. Now you're in the fast lane. 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and streaming live on beavercountyradio.com.
It is 10:38. It is a pretty crappy day out there. A good day to sit and listen to the radio and listen as we talk about cold and old cases of Beaver County. It's currently sitting at 49 degrees at 10:39, and we're coming to you live from the Fry Transportation Studios. Joining me in hour number 1 this morning, we are talking Beaver County cold and old cases, and we are talking about the embalmed head that was found in 2014 in Economy Borough. Police Chief Mike O'Brien is here with us, along with Andy Gall, retired detective, and Kristen Doerschner, who works at Penn State Beaver now, but was a reporter for the Beaver County Times at that point when this all went on. And we'll get into that more, but you can also call if you have any questions about it as we go. It's 724-774-1888 and 843-1888. And with that, let's jump out to the phone lines. Go Good morning. You're on Beaver County Radio.
Hey, Frank.
Hey, Bill. What's up?
I had a thought. You know how I get. As far as I imagine coroner, I have experience in the core sampling, earth-wise.
Okay.
It's amazing what you can get from that. Did they, or was there a way to, like, how long was that head there, in that exact spot? I just wondered if, like, it was here for 5 years, right there. That kind of spanned.
Mike?
Well, actually, we estimate that it probably had not been out in the woods more than a week.
Okay.
Just because of the way we found it,
right.
There was no debris over top of it. She was pretty clean. We did take soil samples. These were tested by the FBI lab in Quantico, and really all it said was that the soil matched what was on her was also matching where she was found.
Okay.
Now, one of the things we did do was what they call isotope testing, and so there's isotopes that we get in our bodies from the food and water that we drink and eat, and that is relative to the isotopes that's in the water in our environment where we live. So in this case, we were able to go back by hair samples the last 7 months of her life. And then we could also go back a little more historically with the enamel on her teeth. But what that does is gives us a geographical area where she could have been based on those isotopes that's found in the hair in her teeth compared to the isotopes in these geographical areas. One of the things we found out was that in the last 7 months of her life, there was a little bit of movement, but for the most part, she was definitely in or around Beaver County at some portions or parts of that last 7 months. But she was also in the surrounding area of eastern Ohio, New York, eastern Pennsylvania, down into Maryland and West Virginia, and then of course over here in southern in western PA. So we were able to map that. Now, that doesn't mean that she was just here because it gives us a nationwide map. But at the time when we had that done, we focused on our area here, being that this is where she was found. And some of those historical markers we got back from her teeth enamel did indicate as a child that she had been in or around the area of Beaver County. So.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Bill.
All righty.
All right.
Bye.
Theories. How did it get there?
We have gone through, did a delivery driver taking this from a funeral home to a crematory or something like that? Did it fall out of a truck? Was it bought or sold on the internet and placed there? I think, again, just like I said earlier with investigating different theories or different thoughts that came up, we didn't, rule out anything. We've gone down that black market road. We looked into medical schools using cadavers for school. We looked into the eye banks and core to see if there was eye donations made that might help us out there. So we looked into funeral homes. We were checking grave sites. So we've gone down so many different areas. And here we are still 12 years later with really not a lot of answers.
Any suspects or anything?
We have a person that we felt may have been involved.
Okay.
Unfortunately, he is no longer with us, so we're not able to pursue that too much further. But
we had, if you watch and I think a lot of the people have watched the Netflix Unsolved Mysteries that we've done, particularly the reporter from Reuters had a lot of involvement with this one fella. We don't have enough. We can't point our finger at that guy and say definitely it was him, but they kind of put a big part of the segment was focused on that guy, but he is no longer with us. We've had like the stuff he talked about, the isotope, we looked at the idea of, was this person, and sometimes this happens when you're older and you're not, you have health issues, which based on the autopsy, certain things that were found, she was being treated for some illnesses. And was she being moved from one family member to another? You know, like her 3 kids who lived spread out, did she spend a month here and a month there, that kind of a thing? Because that would sort of explain the isotope issue.
Gotcha.
So, and all these things build us a nice big pile of information, but doesn't give us the answer.
Now, was the rest of her, I mean, I know you said the red rubber balls were where her eyes were, but was the rest of her head intact? I mean, was her brain there and everything else still there?
It was. And one of the things that we found out very, very early was that the way the head had been removed was, and we brought this up in a press conference even, we felt that it had been removed like precisely with some sort of medical background. And the reason being is it was removed the way a head would be removed from the body if that were supposed to be done. Where the top of the spinal cord was still intact.
Oh,
so,
okay.
It was removed from the top of the spinal cord like it should have been.
Okay, I gotcha.
So it wasn't just like cut clear across and part of that spinal cord was in there. You know, so it was definitely, you know, we think that at least somebody had some sort of medical knowledge background, and, you know, could very well have been removed legitimately.
Okay, got another question. Good morning, you're on Beaver County Radio.
Hey, good morning, everybody. My name's Tom.
Hey, Tom.
And first of all, I want to thank everybody for being there. This is fascinating. I know for all of you, it's, I guess, some part of your routine of the jobs you do or did, but it's really, really interesting, and I appreciate the program, and I appreciate you all being on there. I have a couple quick questions. Number one, how do you, like, I don't know, psychologically or emotionally deal with this kind of stuff when it happens? I mean, I would think you have to kind of separate from it, or it just seems like it would be tough psychologically to deal with these kind of macabre type of things.
Well, so I'm the oldest one in the room, so I'll tell you that I did law enforcement for 49 years before I retired. And I even had a reputation towards the end of my long career that if something weird happens, you call Andy, because, and it is, in my case, I'm married, I have 4 kids, I have 8 grandkids now, and I'm able to separate for the most part. That drive home from the courthouse to my house was about 15 minutes, and by the time I got home, I didn't walk in with a bizarre, now I would later on after the kids were in bed sometimes tell my wife how weird the day went, but but talking to her and just talking to other legitimate policemen for me. I never had to go to counseling. There are, and I guess part of the thing I want to say is, a lot of times when you meet a young policeman or you're interviewing them for the job, you say, why do you want to be a police officer? And most of them will say, because I want to help people. Well, that's nice, and I believe that, and I do want to help people too. But for me, I wanted to solve mysteries, and that's what I did all my life. And when you meet guys like Mike O'Brien here, and you meet him, he's much younger than me, and when he came along, I saw potential in him. And there are guys like that that you could talk to about these kind of things without letting it get to you. And actually, and I look to my left, it's Kristen, who we have become very good friends over this kind of a thing. I respected her as a reporter. She was always legit. I respected the Beaver County Times as a operation. They were always very legit with us. And she has this strange interest in strange things too.
Yeah, I think for me, I wasn't obviously in that as deep in the weeds with some of the disturbing stuff as the law enforcement, but it did cross my path frequently. And you do kind of compartmentalize. I think it also helps. My husband works in law enforcement, so we have a good mutual understanding that we could understand each other's jobs and could understand that we were both kind of dealing with stuff that wasn't very pleasant, and that helped a lot.
How about you, Mike? How do you?
Mike's sitting over here being quiet.
No, I agree. I mean, you have to talk about this stuff because you do hold on to it sometimes. And like this case for me, it's just it's there. It's something that I want to really have solved before I leave this career field and retire. But just talking about it, talking with other people about things like that helps. It helps you get through that part of the strangeness, I guess.
No. Anything else, Tom?
Yeah, one other quick question. Frank knows my wife is like a professional caliber genealogist, and how helpful today are like these DNA matches that you can, you know what I'm talking about, you can find on other people's family trees and stuff like that. Is that a big leap forward for folks in your professions to help find people that you don't know who they are?
It's does your wife work at the genealogy center or volunteer down there? Because I think I talked to her yesterday.
She's that good. She's done probably over 100 family trees and DNA testing and all that kind of stuff, all just because she loves to do it.
It is interesting because the Detective Bureau. I was there when they started this. I retired before it ended, but they were able to solve a case in Hopewell that was from the 70s and did a nice job on it, and were able to use familiar DNA to end up finding out who the guy was. And even though he had passed on, it answered some questions for the family, and the family were really very appreciative of the efforts. So that works. I watched this. This has been something great that has come along quickly, and that could be how we would find out this, obviously, if we could end up getting DNA from our samples. I mean, we tried hair, teeth, bone, everything that the DNA people have asked us for, but if we can get it, and we're willing to try, that's how we'll end up finding out who she was.
All right, thanks.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, and thanks again for the show. Look forward to whenever you're on every month.
All right, thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. So we started talking about possible suspect. How did it lead you to that possible suspect that's no longer with us?
Well, that person lived across the street from where the head was found, for one. He and the boy knew each other. They would, in fact, prior to that, they had spent time together. He kind of mentored him and stuff like that. So there was, and that guy sort of injected himself into our investigation early on and was a big part of it. He was also there the day the head was found. Standing on the road. He had given us some witness accounts, so to speak, as to when that head was there or wasn't there. So we became interested in talking with him. And then once that reporter came down and got involved with him, it just, those two had a relationship that they were sharing all kinds of information. So he kept himself involved in our investigation. I would say voluntarily.
Oh, voluntarily, yeah. We certainly weren't harassing him, and I don't mean that he was harassing us, but he would, if we were down there for a reason, he was out. Mike and I both told the reporter, just go down to the scene, look around, and you'll meet him. And that's exactly what happened. It was we told him 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And he was out there in less than 10 minutes.
Wow.
He and the boy had they were good friends. He was doing that, But then there was some conflict between the two of them. And conflict is what we always look for something to spark this. He was an interesting character by far, and his death was a sad death, and the whole thing is kind of unusual with him. But he put himself in early. And matter of fact,
that's probably a sign right there that injecting himself was probably a sign that maybe he knows more than he's telling you.
Well, when the news people showed up down there with the cameras that night, he put himself on there talking about how the crows fly, and and explains a whole lot, and it made no sense to me. But and I had actually known this man from some prior incidents that didn't happen in Economy, and he came to the district attorney's office, I don't want to say on a regular basis, but often enough that I got to know him. And so when he pops up in this thing, I looked at Mike and said, "What's he doing here?" And he goes, "He lives in that house." And so we sort of knew that where we were going to be headed.
So over time, that was your only suspect over time?
Yeah, it has been. And we're kind of at the point now with our statute of limitations was expired in 2016. So we even tried to use that to our advantage with him or anybody else for that matter, to say that, look, all we want to know is who she is, and I think we've worked from the onset. We've worked with the idea or the theory that we have to identify her first, and once we do that, then we'll know where she came from, and we can try to figure out how she got there as well. But it's kind of where we've been stuck at for the last 12 years.
So where currently is her head at?
She is buried in the Beaver Cemetery with a grave marker identifying her as Jane Doe, and being found on December the 12th, 2014.
And my wife and I walk the Beaver Cemetery so I check on her and sort of keep tabs on it and make sure
When you said people are actually doing cleaning her grave at this point, right?
And I had the only one doing that, but after the Netflix show was on, next time I went down there, people were decorating it, putting flowers in, and because I snapped a picture and sent it to Mike and said, she's got a caretaker.
All right. So my last question before we go is I'm going to ask Kristen. So as a reporter, what were your theories about all this?
Initially, I don't know that I had a theory. And I remember there was, as I said, a lot of talk. And my kids were young at the time, but they heard the conversation, so they were in it. My daughter was 5 at the time. She said to me one day, "Mommy, I have a theory about the head." And I said, "You do?" And she said, "Yeah. What if it fell out of a plane?" And I said, "You know what, kiddo? That's as good as anybody's got right now."
Right, yeah.
Could you imagine what the dinner conversation is at those days between her and her husband, Matt? That if he's not talking about what he did at the police department,
right, she's
talking about what she's...
Well, and truly, everyone was talking about it, though. So when we were out, people would come up to me and ask. It was hard to shield them from that because just anytime we were out. But I mean, honestly, my very first gut feeling before I knew anything was, oh my God, somebody murdered a lady and, left her head. That was it. Like, what else could it be, right? Murder. But clearly, as time went on, it was a little more complicated than that.
We've always taken the stance that until we can prove it's not a murder,
it's
possibly could be a murder. And the statute of limitations Mike was talking about, that's for what's called abuse of a corpse. And that runs out, but there's never been a statute on murder and statute of limitations.
It's amazing that you haven't been able to find the rest of the body.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe it suffered the same fate as what her head did, somebody on the black market like you were talking about. I mean, that would be my theory, since you haven't been able to find it anywhere.
So if we could find a guy with a headless body in their living room sitting on a couch, he may be our guy.
All right. Any we could talk about this for hours for sure. So we'll have to revisit this again for sure. Any clue what we're doing next month?
We have a couple. We were talking about doing the Sarah Boehm missing person who was murdered in Ohio.
Okay.
The bomb hammers. I've been talking to a couple other cops who would be willing to come on with me.
Okay.
We talked about the bomb hammers case would be one.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a great Christmas. We have the Christmas one that we talked about a couple of months ago, right before Christmas.
Yeah.
And but there was another Christmas murder that was solved when they robbed a guy at the safe deposit thing at the bank.
Okay.
And murdered him. And so we could go on for
All
the
right.
next 10 years, once a month if you want.
And if I can, I'd love to do a quick plug for Crime Solvers and also put our
Absolutely.
number out there. So Crime Solvers, we're a nonprofit. We're made up of current law enforcement, retired law enforcement, and a few of us civilians who, through connections and interest, are involved. So we do offer rewards for information on cases. We would offer a reward for this one. And people can call anonymously and leave information. The number is 724-774-2000. So we are always willing to take information not only on this case, but other unsolved. And we do have a Facebook where some of those unsolved cases are highlighted.
All right. Appreciate you guys coming in today. Kristen, as always. And Mike, thank you. And Andy, we'll look forward to next month. And again, we'll put the phone number as well on the Facebook feed so that way if somebody has any information or anything, they can give us a call. And we appreciate Crime Stoppers and Andy, you guys, for doing this. And I think it's going to be a really great show, and I'm looking forward to the episodes moving forward.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Coming up next, it is Town Hall News, followed by local news with Noah Haswell here on Beaver County Radio.
You're listening to 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas.